I died, choking on my own screams. The courtroom's fluorescent lights buzzing like vengeful hornets as the judge's gavel cracked down on my life sentence for a murder I didn't commit. 8 years later, I woke up gasping in my old twin bed, the faded poster of Nirvana peeling from the wall like a bad memory. My 18-year-old body trembling under the weight of a future I already knew would bury me alive. And the first voice I heard, my mother's, sweet as poison honey, called me down for breakfast, oblivious to the fact that she'd be the one to testify against me in that same kitchen, perjuring her soul for a lie that would seal my fate. That morning in 2017, the air in our cookie-cutter house in suburban Chicago smelled like fresh coffee and denial, the kind of scent that masked the rot underneath. I was Stella Hargrove then, just a kid fresh out of high school, wide-eyed and trusting, with dreams of escaping this beige purgatory for something brighter, maybe art school in New York, or just a life where I wasn't the invisible middle child. My family? Picture perfect on the outside. Dad, the high school principal with his pressed khakis and folksy charm. Mom, the PDA queen baking pies for bake sales while whispering gossip. And Ethan, my golden boy older brother, the star quarterback headed for Northwestern on a full ride. We were the Hargroves, the ones everyone envied at block parties and church potlucks. But I knew better now. Or rather, the 26-year-old me trapped in this teenage shell knew. 8 years of federal prison, solitary for good behavior, they called it, but really it was because I stopped fighting after the appeals dried up, had etched every betrayal into my bones. The murder of Mrs. Evelyn Cartwright, our nosy neighbor who'd stumbled onto Dad's little side hustle, siphoning school funds into offshore accounts to fund Ethan's gambling debts. She'd confronted him in our backyard that sweltering July afternoon, her voice shrill enough to carry over the fence. Dad panicked, shoved her hard. She hit her head on the stone bird bath. Dead. Just like that. They pinned it on me. Ethan found her body first. Planted my hair clip nearby, the one Mom had given me for my sweet 16. Dad coached him on the 911 call, tears streaming down his face like an Oscar winner. Mom? She sobbed on the stand about how I'd always been troubled, how I'd confessed to her in whispers about hating Evelyn for spying on our perfect family. Lies. All of it. But juries love a tragic tale, the jealous daughter, the fall guy for her father's sins. I rotted while they thrived. Ethan graduated, got a job at a firm downtown. Mom and Dad sold the house, moved to Florida, living off the inheritance from the very funds Dad stole. Waking up that day, heart pounding like a war drum, I stared at my reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror. Same freckles, same awkward ponytail. But my eyes, God, they burned with a fire that 18-year-old Stella never had. This was my shot. Rebirth. Revenge. Whatever you call it. I wouldn't scream or rage, no. I'd play their game smarter. Dirtier. Because, in America, justice isn't blind, it's bought. And I'd learn the price tag in ways they couldn't imagine. Downstairs, the kitchen was a shrine to normalcy, checkered curtains fluttering in the AC breeze, the radio crooning some pop hit about young love. Mom turned from the stove, her smile brittle as she slid a plate of scrambled eggs my way. Morning. Sleepyhead. Big day, Ethan's practice starts at noon. You driving him? I forced a grin, the kind that didn't reach my eyes, and nodded. Sure thing, Mom. My voice cracked just right, all teenage nonchalance. But inside, I catalogued it, the way her hands trembled slightly as she poured orange juice, the faint lines of worry etching her Botox-smooth forehead. She didn't know yet, none of them did, that Evelyn's confrontation was weeks away, that the bird bath waited like a guillotine in the garden. But I did. And I'd steer the ship straight into the storm. Ethan bounded in, all 6'2" of him, slapping my back hard enough to rattle my teeth. "Hey, squirt. Ready to watch your big bro dominate?" He ruffled my hair, that brotherly affection masking the predator underneath. In my old life, I'd laughed it off. Now, I saw the calculation in his wink, the way he glanced at Dad for approval. Ethan, the gambler who'd bet our family's future on blackjack tables in Vegas, dragging us all down. He'd been the one to suggest framing me, whispering to Dad late at night, "Stella's expendable. No one'll miss her dreams." Breakfast blurred into autopilot. Dad droned on about school budgets, his voice a monotone hum that once lulled me to sleep but now screamed hypocrisy. I picked at my food, mind racing. Step 1. Gather evidence. No dramatic confrontations, not yet. I'd be the ghost in their machine, subtle as a virus. After dropping Ethan at the field, I detoured to the public library, the one with the ancient computers no one monitored. A heart hammering, I pulled up public records, old news clippings. There it was, Dad's financials, buried deep in county archives. Sloppy transfers to Ethan's accounts, disguised as loans. Evelyn's police report from months back, petty complaints about suspicious activity at our address. She was close. Too close. By evening, I was back home, feigning homework in my room while eavesdropping through the vents. Dad's study door creaked open downstairs, muffled voices rising like smoke. "We can't keep dipping into the fund, Tom," Mom hissed. "The audit's next month. It's for Ethan," Dad shot back, low and fierce. "Our boy's future. A little risk." Risk? That woman's been sniffing around again. Evelyn. Saw her peering over the fence yesterday. Silence. Thick as tar. Then Dad. Handle it. Quietly. My blood ran cold. But not from fear, from thrill. This was it. The fracture point. In my old timeline, handle it meant warnings, then threats. Now, I'd accelerate the crash. The next week unfolded like a slow-burn thriller. Every day a chess move. I started small, anonymous tips to the school board, typed on library keyboards and mailed from drop boxes miles away. Concerned parent, Principal Hargrove's budget discrepancies. Nothing explosive, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Dad noticed the first letter, crumpling it with a curse, but he didn't connect it to me. How could he? I was the dutiful daughter, baking cookies for his faculty meeting, batting my lashes like butter wouldn't melt. Ethan, though, he was sharper. At dinner one night, he eyed me across the roast chicken, fork paused midair. "You seem different, Stell. What's up? Got a boyfriend or something?" I laughed, light and airy, but my mind flashed to the prison yard, where I'd learned to read cons like open books. Just excited for college apps. NYU's calling my name. Lie. I'd never made it that far before. His smile didn't reach his eyes. NYU. Huh. Big dreams for a small-town girl. Under the table, my foot tapped a rhythm, counting the days until Evelyn's discovery. July 15th. That's when it happened last time. Her scream. The thud. The cover-up. I had 12 days to twist the knife. Meanwhile, I dug deeper. Late nights, I'd sneak into Dad's study, gloved hands rifling drawers. Bingo, a burner phone. Logs showing calls to shady consultants, fixers. Probably for Ethan's debts. And photos, Evelyn's house. Snapped from our yard. Stalking in reverse. I snapped pics with my flip phone, uploaded to a free cloud drive under a fake name. Evidence. My new religion. But revenge isn't clean, it's a stain that spreads. The first controversial choice came on July 10th. I could have warned Evelyn outright, slipped a note under her door. Your neighbor's a thief. Watch your back. But that would have changed everything too soon, robbed me of the spectacle. Instead, I did worse. I fueled her paranoia. A late-night call from a blocked number. Voice distorted with a scarf over the receiver. They're coming for you. Mrs.
Cartwright.
The Hargroves. They know you know. Her gasp echoed in my ear, followed by a frantic, "Who is this?" I hung up, pulse racing. Controversial? Hell yes, tampering with a witness, even anonymously. Skirted the law like a drunk on a tightrope. But in America, where the powerful bury the weak, rules are for suckers. I wasn't saving her. I was arming the bomb. The fallout was electric. Next morning, Evelyn stormed our fence, face purple with rage, waving printouts, bank statements she'd somehow gotten hold of. Thomas Hargrove, you're stealing from those kids. I'll have your job. Dad met her at the gate. All false comm. Ethan lurking behind like a shadow. Mom hovered in the kitchen window, wringing her apron. I watched from the attic vent, unseen, a voyeur to my own apocalypse.
Ma'am.
This is a misunderstanding, Dad soothed, voice oily. Let's discuss inside. She wasn't having it. Misunderstanding? I've got proof. And now threats? Some coward called me last night. Ethan stepped forward, jaw tight. Lady, back off. You're harassing us. The shove happened fast, Dad's hand on her shoulder, just guiding her away. But she twisted, stumbled back.
Toward the birdbath.
Time slowed, her heel catching, arms windmilling, the crack of skull on stone echoing like Judgment Day. She didn't get up. Panic erupted. Dad knelt, checking her pulse, nothing. Ethan gagged. Oh God. Dad. Mom burst out the back door, phone in hand, dialing 911 with practice sobs. And me, I slipped downstairs, face pale, the perfect shocked teen. What happened? Is she? They didn't suspect. Why would they? But as sirens wailed in the distance, I locked eyes with Ethan across the yard. For a split second, his mask slipped, pure terror, then calculation. He mouthed, "We'll fix this." Famous last words. The police swarmed our yard like ants on spilled sugar. Yellow tape fluttering in the humid breeze as if mocking the welcome mat on our porch. Evelyn's body lay covered under a tarp, a grim centerpiece to the chaos. Detectives with notepads and grave faces herded us inside, separating us for statements, theater I'd memorized from my trial transcripts. Dad went first, in the living room, spinning his yarn. She was upset, came over yelling about some nonsense. I tried to calm her, but she tripped. Accident. Pure accident. His voice cracked just right. The principal playing the everyman. Mom followed, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Our poor neighbor. Stella found her hair clip nearby. She was out weeding earlier. Must have dropped it. The seed planted. Casual as confetti. Ethan's turn, fidgety. Sweating through his polo. I saw it all. Officers. Dad didn't push her, not hard.
Anyway.
She was hysterical.
And me? Last.
In the kitchen with a burly cop who smelled like stale donuts. I widened my eyes. Let tears spill. I heard yelling from my room. Came down and she was just lying there. That clip? It's mine. But I swear I wasn't even outside. Sniffle.
Pause.
The killer blow. Evelyn's been weird lately. Staring at us. Taking notes. I think she was scared of something. The detective nodded. Scribbling. Hook.
Line.
Sinker. By nightfall, they ruled it suspicious but not yet homicide, pending autopsy. We were persons of interest, but free to go. As the cruiser pulled away, Dad clapped my shoulder. Good girl.
Stell.
You did great.
Great.
The word curdled in my gut. Upstairs, I locked my door, pulled out the burner I'd bought with lunch money, cheap, untraceable. Text to an anonymous tip line, Hargrove family covering up theft. Check school funds. Evelyn knew. Attach the cloud link with Dad's photos.
Send.
Sleep didn't come easy that night. Dreams twisted, prison bars morphing into birdbath stones, Ethan's laugh echoing like a hyena's. But morning brought purpose. The media circus descended, local news vans clogging the cul-de-sac, reporters shouting questions as we loaded into Dad's SUV for family counseling. I volunteered to stay behind, too shaken for the drive. Once alone, I rifled the garage. Ethan's gym bag, stuffed with casino chips and crumpled IOUs. Jackpot. I pocketed a few, snapped pics, then staged it, left the bag accidentally, open in the rec room, visible to any nosy cop. The real game ramped up at the station the next day. They called us back for clarification. Dad's lawyer, some budget hack from his principal's association, coached us in the parking lot. Stick to the script. Accidents happen. But I had my own script. In the interrogation room, alone with a female detective named Ruiz Sharp, no-nonsense Latino with eyes that missed nothing, I cracked. Not fully. Of course. Detective, there's something I didn't want to say before. But Ethan, he's been acting strange. Gambling? I think. Dad's been giving him money from somewhere. Pause for effect. Let the implication hang. Her pen stopped. What do you mean? Somewhere? I shrugged, all innocent confusion. I don't know. But Evelyn mentioned audits once. Said Dad was cooking the books. That's why she was mad. Right? Ruiz leaned in, voice low. Stella, if you're scared, I'm not.
Lie.
I was terrified, exhilarated. This was the controversial pivot, throwing my own brother under the bus. Not for justice, but to watch the dominoes fall. Ethan's debts were real, but I'd amplified them, tipping off bookies with his real name from prison contacts I'd memorized. Now, collectors would swarm, forcing mistakes. Word spread like wildfire. By week's end, the school board suspended Dad pending investigation. Front page Chicago Tribune. Principal in neighbor's death probe. Funds missing. Ethan skipped practice. Holed up in his room. Phone blowing up. Mom popped Xanax like candy. her perfect facade fracturing into sharp edges. I played the rock, the supportive sister-daughter. Brewed tea for Mom. Quizzed Ethan on plays he couldn't focus on. "We'll get through this," I'd say. Hand on his arm, feeling his pulse race like a cornered animal. He bought it. Mostly. One night, bleary-eyed from whatever he was popping, he cornered me in the hall. "Stell, you didn't say anything to the cops about. You know, the money, right?" I blinked. Feigned hurt.
What?
No, why would I? But my mind word got you. The autopsy dropped the hammer. Blunt force trauma consistent with a push. Homicide. Charges loomed. Dad lawyered up proper now. A slick downtown firm billing by the hour. They circled the wagons. Meetings in hushed tones. I was excluded, the kid, too fragile.
Perfect.
My next move? Riskier. I reached out to Evelyn's daughter, Lisa, a mousy accountant from the suburbs I'd met once at a neighborhood watch. Prison had taught me people skills, how to spot the desperate, the vengeful. A quick Facebook message from a sock puppet account. "Your mom was onto something big. Hargrove stole from kids. I have proof." Attach a teaser photo. Dad's burner log. She bit hard. Met me at a dingy coffee shop in Evanston. Eyes red-rimmed, clutching a latte like a lifeline. "Stella? From next door? What the hell's going on?" I spilled, selectively. The thefts. The threats. Ethan's role. Omitted the shove.
For now.
They'll pin it on me if they can. I need your help to expose them. Her jaw tightened. For Mom?
Anything.
By coffee's end, she was in, forwarding my tips to her PI contact. A grizzled ex-cop with a grudge against corrupt officials. Tension coiled like a spring. Dad's suspension turned permanent. Whispers at church branded us lepers. Ethan spiraled, snapped at me over dinner. "This is your fault. You know." Snooping around like a little spy. Mom shot him a look, but I saw the doubt flicker. Good. July blurred into accusations. The cops raided our house, warrant courtesy of Lisa's PI digging up the funds trail. They hauled out boxes, ledgers, laptops, Ethan's stash of chips. Dad bellowed from the driveway. "This is a witch hunt. Cuffed, anyway. For obstruction." Ethan bolted, tried to. Anyway, caught sprinting for his car with a duffel of cash. Mom collapsed on the lawn, wailing as neighbors gawked from porches. Phones out. Live streaming our downfall.
Me?
I stood on the steps, arms crossed, the eye of the hurricane. A reporter shoved a mic my way. "Stella, any comment on your family's arrest?" I met the camera dead on. Voice steady.
They did this to themselves.
And to Evelyn.
Click.
Viral by morning. But cracks formed in my armor. Late that night, alone in the wreckage of the living room, furniture upended, photos shattered, I found Mom's journal, tucked under the couch. Flipping through, bile rose, entries from years back, before Ethan's spiral. Tom stressed. "The boy's a black hole. Stella. She's the light. If only we could protect her." Then, darker. "The deaths are crushing us. What if we lose everything?" Guilt wormed in, uninvited. Had I accelerated too fast?
No.
They chose this path long before me.
Still.
I burned the journal in the sink, watching flames lick the pages. Mercy was a luxury I couldn't afford. The pretrial hearings were a circus, Prosecutors painting Dad as a monster. Defense screaming frame job. Ethan cut a deal first. Testify against Dad for reduced charges.
Rat.
In the gallery, I locked eyes with him on the stand, his voice quavering as he detailed the shove. It was Dad. I swear. And the cover-up. Lies layered on lies. But when the lawyer turned to me, your daughter? Stella, troubled girl. Isn't she? Objection overruled. Mom took the stand next. Eyes pleading with the jury. Stella was always jealous of Ethan's success. She must have seen Evelyn fall.
Panicked.
Hid evidence. Gasps rippled. The twist they'd planned all along, flip it on me. My heart seized. Even now, with evidence mounting, they'd sacrifice the lamb. I stood, voice cutting through the courtroom hush. That's a lie. Then, to the judge, Your Honor, I have new evidence. Handed over the USB, full files, calls, photos. Chaos erupted. Bailiff scrambled. The defense howled mistrial. Outside, reporters swarmed. Ethan shoved past me in the hall, snarling, You bitch. This is war. I smiled.
Cold.
Bring it, brother. Trial day dawned gray and unrelenting. Chicago's summer storm clouds mirroring the tempest in my veins. The courthouse loomed like a coliseum. Protesters chanting outside, Justice for Evelyn. Their signs bobbing like accusatory fingers. I'd become a reluctant celebrity, the whistleblower daughter, plastered on true crime podcasts and cable news segments. Suburban nightmare, family betrayal unravels. But fame's a fickle friend. It amplified the hate mail too. Death threats from Ethan's old frat buddies calling me a Judas.
Inside.
The air reeked of polished wood and desperation.
Dad.
In an ill-fitting suit, avoided my gaze from the defense table. Ethan, plea bargained down to manslaughter, sat sullen, chains hidden under his jacket. Mom? She was the wild card, subpoenaed as a hostile witness. Her seat in the gallery empty until the last possible second. I took the stand first, sworn in with a Bible that felt like lead. The prosecutor, a bulldog named Harlan with a southern drawl misplaced in the Midwest, walked me through it gently. MS. Hargrove, tell us about July 15th. I did. Every damning detail, the overheard plots, the planted clip, the anonymous calls I'd made to speed the unraveling. Gasps from the jury. A woman in the third row clutching her pearls. Then Harlan pivoted. And your mother's testimony? Accusing you of involvement. My voice didn't waver. Fabricated.
To protect them.
From themselves. The courtroom stirred. The judge banged his gavel. Cross-examination was brutal. Dad's lawyer, a weasel in pinstripes named Voss, leaned in like a confessor. Stella, isn't it true you had a history of instability, drug use, resentment toward your brother? Objections flew, but he pressed. You called Mrs. Cartwright that night, threatened her.
Why?
The anonymous call. They'd traced it, sloppy on my part, burner or not. My stomach dropped. I was scared. Trying to warn her. Lies, Voss sneered. You wanted her gone. Jealous of your family's success. The jury shifted, doubt creeping. I'd gambled big, tampering, even in self-defense, was a scarlet letter. Controversial didn't cover it, it was borderline criminal. But I held their eyes. channeling 8 years of rage. Success built on stolen dreams? Kids' futures?
No.
I wanted truth.
Dismissed.
I stepped down, legs jelly. In the hall, Lisa Cartwright waited, squeezing my hand. You were brave. Mom would have been proud.
Proud.
The words stung. Evelyn's ghost hovered everywhere, in the evidence photos projected on screens. Her lifeless eyes accusing not just them, but me. Had my meddling killed her faster? No time for what-ifs. The real storm brewed with Mom's testimony. She took the stand like a martyr, dressed in widow's black, voice quavering. I love my children. All of them. But Stella. She changed after high school.
Angry.
Distant. Tears flowed. Oscar-worthy. That call to Evelyn? I heard her practicing in her room. They're coming for you. She hated us for not giving her what Ethan had. Lies. Venomous and precise. The gallery murmured. Dad nodded subtly from his table. Voss beamed. Harlan objected furiously. But the damage seeped in, painting me as the villain. The scorned sibling. Then, the twist I'd half expected, half dreaded. Mom locked eyes with me, her mask cracking for a heartbeat. Regret? Or calculation? Stella confronted me weeks before. Said she knew about the money. Threatened to tell. I panicked. The courtroom exploded. Harlan jumped up. Your Honor? But Mom pressed on, voice rising. It wasn't just Tom and Ethan. I helped. The books, I fudged them. For the family. But Stella. She wanted to destroy us. Gasps turned to shock. Voss paled. Dad's head snapped up. Betrayal raw on his face. Mom wasn't flipping on me. She was confessing, dragging them all down to save her soul. Or mine. In that moment, her eyes pleaded, forgive me. The judge cleared the jury for recess. Bailiffs escorting a sobbing mom away. Chaos reigned, reporters typing furiously, lawyers huddling. I sat frozen, Harlan whispering, this changes everything. Accomplice liability. But inside, turmoil churned. Mom's confession was a grenade. But why now? Pity? Guilt for my new assertiveness? Or the final betrayal, sinking the ship to spite the rats? The trial dragged another week. Testimonies piling like indictments. Ethan's deal crumbled. He recanted, screaming perjury from the stand. Dad invoked the fifth. Face ashen. Mom? She pled out mid-trial, testifying fully for immunity, details spilling, the first theft for Ethan's braces, escalating to tuition, vacations, vices. Evelyn's discovery, the catalyst. Her death, the panic button. Verdicts came swift. Dad. Guilty on embezzlement and second-degree murder, life. No parole. Ethan. Accessory after the fact and fraud, 20 years. Mom. Lesser charges. 5 years probation. Community service. Justice. American style. Tiered by complicity. Outside. Rain lashed the steps as I emerged, free but hollow. Lisa hugged me fierce. We did it. Did we? The crowd parted. Protesters cheering. But a lone figure waited under an umbrella. Mom. In cuffs. Flanked by marshals. No tears now, just resolve. Stella, she called, voice cutting the din. Wait. I approached. Heart a war drum. What? She glanced at the guards. Then me. I saw it in your eyes that morning. After the accident. You weren't scared. You were planning. A bitter smile. Like me,
Once.
but better. Forgive me. The request hung. 8 years of silence shattering. In my old life, I'd begged for this in letters from prison, Mom. Why? Met with crickets.
Now.
Reversed. It stunned. Forgiveness? After the lies. The frame? The controversial choice loomed. Walk away. Let her rot in regret. Or extend the olive branch, tainting my victory with mercy. Rain blurred her face, but I saw the woman who'd baked my birthday cakes, bandaged my scraped knees. Flawed. Broken. But mine. No, I said, soft but steel. Not yet. But maybe. After. Turn. Walk into the storm. Twist's shadow lingered in the months after. Turns out, Mom's journal wasn't the only secret. I found letters in her cell during visits. Post-sentencing. She'd known about my change from day one. That breakfast after my rebirth. A psychic hunch? Or something deeper? A mother's intuition sensing the ghost in her daughter's skin? She wrote, I knew you'd come back stronger. Use it to heal, not just hurt.
bi kịch o có hậu.
Both. Intertwined. Dad died in prison 2 years later. Heart attack. They said, karma. I whispered.
Ethan?
Straightened somewhat. Wrote me from the inside. You were right to fight. Mom served her time volunteering at women's shelters. Emerged gray, but grateful. We met for coffee in a neutral spot, awkward. Probing. No full absolution, but a truce. I was wrong, she said. About everything. And I was ruthless, I admitted. She nodded. But alive.
Now.
At 26 again. I live in New York, art school paid by restitution funds. Canvas splashed with the chaos I survived. The Hargrove name? Mud. But mine alone now, Stella Reyes, hyphenated for the woman I became. Revenge wasn't the end, it was the forge. And in quiet moments, staring at rain-streaked windows, I wonder, did I save us? Or just rewrite the fall? Either way, silence broken. I breathe free.